During the 2022 BET Awards, Kirk Franklin did a freestyle rap in which he went, "The lion and the lamb will bow down to the goat." Did you hear me? The lion and the lamb will bow down to the goat. And therefore, in this video, I want to make a comment on a very important lesson from Kirk Franklin's slip of the tongue or exposure that will help you in your Christian walk. But before I do that, I got two quick things for you. Number one, if you haven't subscribed, please make sure you subscribe. And as you're watching this video, give it a thumbs up, share, comment, because that will be a special way of partnering with us in making sure that YouTube gets this video to as many people as possible. And then number two, before I jump into my comment, I want you to watch the performance yourself and even begin to make a judgment for yourself. So here it is.
The greatest scapegoat, the lion and the lamb will bow down to the goat. I don't want to make no more mistakes with my kid. You heard the mixtape my son put out, Kirk did.
Now, without beating about the bush, in the Bible, the lion and the lamb are literary devices that were used to represent Christ, while the goat was used to represent Satan or evil. Therefore, when I heard these symbols in Kirk's freestyle, my mind quickly went to what I know, and that is the lion, the lamb, Jesus Christ, the goat, evil, the devil. You can't blame me. I mean, that is how God made the Bible to come out. So the literary devices that are used, those three represent those two, those two things. And therefore, when I heard Kirk Franklin, I expected that these symbols represent what they have always represented in the Bible. And therefore, I don't expect, or rather I didn't expect, the lion and the lamb to be bowing to the goat. It should be the other way around. The goat bowing to the lion or the lamb. Because then that is evil, the devil bowing down to Jesus. And we know that Jesus is the one that has the name that is above all other names. He is God, fully human. That is something we can look at another day. Moreover, when Kirk Franklin realized that what he had communicated had not been taken the way that probably he thought it would be taken, or the way that it was supposed to be taken, but now he's realized that it has gotten out of hand, and so he's trying to correct the situation. I really do not know. His explanation didn't sit well with me. Now, I need to point out something that important here. When you communicate with someone, the recipient is the one that determines, that is according to me, determines what you have said. So if I say something and you hear what I'm saying and you perceive it, then you're most likely correct because you're the receiver of the information. So my burden, the burden that I have as an originator of information, is to make sure that I am communicating as clearly as possible. And whatever I want you to get is exactly what you are getting, and nothing else. So just check out his response on the screen and you realize there is a problem. All right. So I hope you've seen it. He's talking about metaphoric, kind of thing. He's talking about theology. He's talking about all these other things. And he is mixing up issues. And as you could have noted, Kirk's explanation still doesn't hold water, even at this point that I'm still speaking about it. Because being an influential Christian, it should be first theology, then hyperbole. So it cannot be the other way around. We start from hyperbole and then theology. Imagine if Kirk was doing a crusade, then it means he would have missed it from the word go, because those people that were there would have gotten something else. That is why I am strongly saying, being an influential Christian, he should have communicated clearly. And I believe he communicated clearly. So for him, it was hyperbole and not theology, just like he says it. But I am saying it should have been theology, then hyperbole, because we manifest that which is within us. And I'm going to talk about that just right away, because it reminds me of the first text of the three that I want to talk about, and that is Matthew chapter 7, verse 15 all the way to 23. Jesus talks about fruits, and he says that the world will identify us. Fellow believers and non-believers will identify us by our fruit. And fruit is simply the words that we speak and how we behave. Those are the things that are gonna identify us as Christians or non-Christians, whether we are Christ or not Christ. And then again, I have a second, Bible passage, and that is James chapter 3, all the way from verse 1 to 12, where James singles out the tongue, and he says that the tongue is the one that shows where our minds are. In fact, James says that the tongue shows our double-mindedness. So if you want to know that someone is double-minded, then you listen to what they say, and you will know that they are double-minded. So for me, Kirk Franklin was double-minded because he was speaking something that is a reality in his life. And probably in his life, the lamb is not that big. That's why he's bringing in the goat, although he's trying to say it was GOAT. That's a story for another day. So Jesus expects us to serve him and him alone. Again, I take you to a third verse, and that is Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. It's very clear that you cannot serve two masters. You will serve one, you will love one and hate the other. And it's very clear here again. When we talk about double-mindedness, Kirk should focus on serving God. And if you are a Christian like I am, we should focus on serving God. We should be single-minded, because our tongues will give us away. And that's why I was talking about slip of the tongue or exposure, because it can be both. It can be either. But I'm gonna clarify that. So as I, finish my rant, my comments on this is just to say that, the lyrics of, because I'm talking about the tongue then, the lyrics of a gospel song should be gospel. They should be the ones that qualify a song to be gospel or not. So we cannot look at any other thing to qualify a song as gospel. We can only look at the lyrics. Therefore, Kirk Franklin's tongue didn't slip. It just exposed where he stands, where his mind and his heart are. And his theology specifically, because theology is applied. Theology is never theoretical. So when I speak these things, I am speaking theologically from where I stand, my beliefs and all that. And therefore, the freestyle performance enabled us to know him better. In other words, God exposed him. God's grace covers us when we are doing the wrong thing. But at a point, it runs out, and then we are exposed. And that's why Paul is very clear: let us not abuse grace. So if you're doing the wrong thing, you need to stop, because at some point it will come to light. Consequently, I want to finish by saying that I pray that you, my viewer, will be single-minded, because that is the most important thing. You have chosen Christ, so stick to Christ, and your fruits will confirm who you are. God bless you, and see you in the next video.